Kathy, the director of the Warrior Healing Center. And I'm just curious, are there any veterans in the room today? So I know we live in this little area pocket of rural Arizona. And I know everybody understands we've got Fort Huachuca close by here, right? We know there's a lot of veterans around, but did you guys know that almost 1 in 4 adults here in Sierra Vista is a veteran? Almost a quarter of our adult population. So we've got family members, we've got neighbors, we've got coworkers, we've got people that we run into at church. Wherever we are in society, there are so many veterans that are affected by issues, and what we see at the Warrior Healing Center is a huge opportunity to build community through that. And so there's been a couple of things in the news lately that have been a little bit challenging for veterans. We've gotten a lot of questions about certain things over at the center recently, and locally, the Cochise County Attorney's Office, Lori Zucco, came to us and said she'd really like to talk to some of the veterans, and could we do anything together so that she could help answer some of these questions and get you guys informed. And so that's awesome, because we really want to encourage opportunities where you guys can do the community thing and come face to face and talk to our leadership and have these opportunities to kind of grow as a community. So without further ado, I would just like to thank you again for coming in, and I would like to hand it over to Lori Zucco.
Thank you so much. Can you hear me? Thank you so much, Kathy and Tim, for having me. The Warrior Healing Center has been so good to us over the years. We've had a great partnership with them. We have done care court with them. Joe Lancaster, give a shout out to him. He sits on our care court board in JP5. And when this issue came up, they said, what can we do to support you, Lori? Because I was kind of getting a bad rap, I think, in the veteran community. I'm here to talk to you about it today. I think it was undeserved. And so thank you for having me. I appreciate it. And I want to thank Cochise County did approve they're letting our diversion ladies host this lunch today, and they approved us to cater the lunch. So thank you to the diversion program for putting that on. And we kept getting RSVPs until this morning, Kathy. So hopefully there's enough for everyone. But I think we've exceeded our expectation as far as attendance, and I want to thank you all for being here. So with me today, I have some members of my team. I want to introduce Jonathan Pinkney. He's our new Chief Civil Deputy. Rob McMurtry, Deputy County Attorney. Kristana Watkins, Alternative Prosecution Program Manager. Monica McCall, who is our Diversion Coordinator. Jess Garcia, who is our Public Relations, Social Media Outreach, and a Criminal Paralegal. And then Dina Champagne and Ruth Faulkner are also in my office, and they're both here in attendance to help out. Thank you, ladies, for coming. Okay, so again, we've had this partnership with the Warrior Healing Center in Care Court, and we recently started a Veterans Alternative Prosecution Program. We have some flyers on that. I think we ran out of them, but we're gonna post that flyer on our Facebook post when we share some photos and information about this event. So if you didn't get one of those flyers, it will be posted on our Facebook. And I'm gonna turn it over to my diversion crew to talk about that program a little bit later. But I think that most of you are here to talk about the Arizona Disabled Veteran Property Tax Exemption. So, all right, and honestly, this issue did not even come to the forefront of my mind until it really blew up on Facebook when people were posting some letters that I want to talk about. I don't know if you all saw it. In February of this year, February 13th, there was a bill that was passed. It started as a bill in the Senate the year before for 100% disabled veterans to have property tax exemption. And the Senate bill from 2025 did not have income limits. When it went to the House, what came out was a bill that had income limits, even for 100% disabled veterans. That was the law that was signed by the governor on February 13th. It did have some beneficial things. For instance, before HB 2792, disabled veterans generally received a partial exemption based on disability percentage, but there was no full exemption for 100% service-connected veterans. So when that law passed in February, the good news was that it created a full exemption for 100% service-connected veterans, but income limits still applied. That's the only bill that they could get passed at the time. At the time when they signed it, the majority leader, Michael Carboni, who sponsored the bill, he did a press release, and we distributed copies of his press release to everyone, so you should have it. And the headline is "Full Property Tax Relief Approved for Arizona Most Severely Disabled Veterans." So if you read that, and you're 100% disabled, you think that you're getting the full tax exemption. However, when you go down to the highlighted third paragraph of the press release, it says, "The legislation clarifies that income limits apply across the entire section of the law." And that was in the law in 3 different places when you looked at the statutory language of that law. And again, the second document on the left there, which is also distributed to you, was the Arizona House of Representatives Majority Research Staff Report that goes into more detail about, to qualify for the exemption, your income must not exceed $34,900 or $41,000 if you have kids. I'm going to talk a little bit. Those have been adjusted for inflation. And this is what's in the law for the tax year 2026. And, Rob, do you want to talk a little bit about, Rob is a veteran who was an attorney in my office, but he was telling me how the way that this bill was promoted to veterans was a little misleading.
Yeah, as I'm sure many of you, as a vet, many of you probably got some of the Facebook posts. I had friends reaching out to me. I'm a 100% disabled vet, and I had friends reach out to me saying, "Hey, this is what Arizona has going on." And I was actually pretty excited. I was like, I don't think that applies to me. I think there's income limits. But it was being pushed in that way. And then when I went to go apply for the exemption, they didn't ask for my income limits. So I was like, well, this is pretty awesome that Arizona is doing this. And obviously later on, and Lori will talk about this, is you get a letter and it says that what you had, you don't have now. Yeah. And while I'm fortunate,
there's the initial letter.
Yeah, and while I'm fortunate enough to be able to say, okay, I can now I have to save $500 or whatever that difference is, there are people that aren't, right? And so that was one of the biggest challenges, I think, that if you haven't gone back to your mortgage company, there's a high probability at the end when they ask for your taxes that those folks that thought that they had that exemption are going to have a huge back payment. And that is a big concern, and I'll give Lori credit for that. Even though she's my boss, when it came up, I was happy that she was saying something about it, because it gave people an opportunity to make that change sooner rather than later to minimize the impact to them. So I'll turn it back over to Lori.
Thanks. So, right, after that bill gets passed in February, these letters go out from the assessor's office, and just to be clear, these letters are not from the county attorney's office, from the assessor's office telling 100% disabled veterans that the owner of the above identified property is 100% fully exempt from property taxation. So that letter goes out, and a lot of people, like Rob here, went based on this letter and adjusted their mortgages. So let me just explain a little bit about the timeline and who did what in reference to this this bill that came out in February. So the Arizona legislature wrote that law, signed by the governor in February, and income limits remained in it. they put it in all their press releases and all their materials. Then the county assessor, who administers the exemption, sent out the letter saying that the income limits do not apply and didn't ask for anybody to do an income analysis or submit proof of their income. And then the county attorney's office, the civil division actually, read the law, and it contains income limits. I mean, it just does. And there's a happy ending to this, which you'll see. But, you know, and then when it kind of came back on us, I mean, Jonathan, we reached out to every county attorney's civil division in the state. We got detailed analysis from Navajo County, Pinal County, it's all the lawyers and the legislators and the governor and the attorney general read in the law that there was the income limits. It was the intent when it was put out. I can't speak for the assessor. I can tell you that he's my client, and I have ethical duties of confidentiality, attorney-client privilege with him. So I'm not sure what happened. I can tell you that our our reading of the law was never anything other than the income limits were in that bill. So a second letter comes out from the assessor in May, I want to say, and this was kind of the letter that caused the social media frenzy, because in the letter from the assessor canceling everybody's tax exemption, he says, a recent opinion from the Cochise County attorney clarified that all applicants for a property tax exemption must meet the income limit qualification. And I mean, to me, that sounds like, oh, like we just, you know, cooked up some legal opinion to suit the county, you know, revenue generating. No, I mean, could not be further from the truth. This was not a novel opinion. It's in the plain language of the bill. It's what every other lawyer in the state and legislator in the state and the governor knew was in the bill. I cannot speak to the misinterpretation by the assessor's office. I think he has owned up to that misinterpretation, but it happened. Again, it's not just a novel opinion by the county attorney's office. So, but again, when this whole media thing was going on, our social media thing, I did a Facebook post urging veterans to check your income limits, because I knew from Rob and some of my neighbors and my victim advocate program manager, whose husband is a 100% disabled veteran, that people were very upset. People had already gone in and adjusted their mortgages, and, you know, I mean, people missed 2, 3 payments into their escrow for the property taxes. My victim advocate, they're gonna have to play catch up the rest of the year. And so I really wanted to get the word out that you need to check this, because it's just the law. It's not my opinion, it's not my interpretation of it, and I didn't want anybody to have further harm by continuing to underpay your mortgage. So somehow I kind of became the face of this issue, when I'm here to tell you this was not my misinterpretation, this was not my decision, this was not my novel opinion, this was just the law, and that's what happened. So I had an introduction for Rob, but he's talked, and Rob is an Air Force veteran. He was a contract worker in Iraq. He worked in the HR department for Zucco, went to law school, became a patent attorney. That's a really smart attorney. Then he was a legal advocate, then a deputy county attorney, and he adjusted his mortgage payments based on the assessor's letter. So, you know, it happened, and that's why then his phone was blowing up the day that this all came to light. So let's talk about that February law that's in effect till the end of this year. Income rules for 2026. What's included? Wages, pensions, IRA distributions, capital gains, interest. What's excluded? Your VA disability is excluded. Your Social Security is excluded. If you have railroad retirement, workers' comp, unemployment compensation, that's all excluded. The limits, the limits, when they're adjusted for inflation, and I got this off of the Maricopa County Assessor's webpage. There's a lot of useful information on the Maricopa County Assessor's webpage. So for single people for 2026, it's $39,865, and for households with children, it's $47,826. So this is for 2026. Less than 100% disabled, there's going to be a partial exemption based on VA disability percentage and other statutory eligibility requirements applied. But Rob, you've looked into it. Do you want to say a few words on this?
Yeah, so it's important to note that this legislation does seem to really help 100% disabled vets. Just as maybe a criticism, I don't think it filters all the way down equally through the percentages. Looking at somebody that's 90%, I think I did some quick math on just one of, based off of it, I think you would save maybe like $37 either a month. It seems very nominal. And so that maybe that's work that needs to be done to bridge that gap and address it. Ma'am, do you have a question?
The amount between married and unmarried, for me, $7,000 if you have a kid is generous, but if you have multiple kids, $7,000 difference between married and unmarried is not. Yeah.
And
Kids know kids. It's married or unmarried. It's $7,000. I mean, like, even when you go for SNAP benefits and stuff like that, it goes based on how many dependents you have.
So I think you're highlighting something that's very important, and Lori's going to jump into this, but just know that based off their response to this outcry, that the legislators that you currently have and that are working on this are very responsive, and I would just encourage you to reach out to them. If this is not enough, keep in mind, I think Arizona is probably one of the best, if not the best state as it relates to how they're treating veterans for property tax purposes. I'm not going to say more than that, but there's going to be room for that, but I think we do acknowledge that there is maybe a shortcoming as it relates to people that are not 100% disabled vets.
No, I just heard him say something about 90%, and it applies to people that have 100% hearings, right?
Yeah, so there's elements. So there is the 100% is kind of its own little area that it addresses, right? And the income applies right now. Income limits apply to all. However, there is an element of the bill that addresses people that have percentage disabilities. And basically there's a number that it has, and you get a percentage of that removed from your annual assessment. But it's not, from my reading, it's a substantial amount, and it's not equivalent to the 100% disabled vet. Does that make sense? There's some shortcomings that probably need to be addressed. So.
Okay, so this issue came up, and I added this slide last night when I met with Kathy, Tim, and Joe yesterday. Because my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, Rob, is that he canceled everybody's exemption.
That's my understanding as well.
Okay.
That anybody that they gave that, they canceled it. The letter actually says if the income limits still apply if you want to reapply. There's some challenges with that, and that's what this slide speaks to. In order for you to actually do that past the March 1st deadline, there are some things that an accounting assessor would have to do, which Maricopa has done, which means basically you have until September 1st. The challenge with that is based off the way that the law is written. It's from that point that you get that waiver. You still, from my understanding, would owe taxes. But it's just really convoluted, and the way that it was done is it basically was canceled. And so you would have to have gone back and reapplied. And there's certain time limits right now. My understanding, we'd have to talk to the assessor as if he has asked the board for a waiver. I think yes, to get the board for a waiver. I don't speak to that.
Is there someone from the county assessor's office here?
No.
Okay. I just want to know if somebody from the county assessor's office was here, because they seem to send a lot of their clients over to the Warrior Healing Center. And then I can't explain to them, or I can tell them that they don't qualify, because I've had 40, 60, and 90% disabled vets come over and say that the county assessor's office sent them to the Warrior Healing Center. For me to explain.
Well, this is what I can tell you, and maybe you're going to have to read between the lines. The county assessor is a separate elected official. I'm the elected county attorney. He's the elected county assessor. He doesn't report to the board of supervisors. The Sharon Gilman is not his boss, like a department head. You're his boss. So, he's also my client. Jonathan's here so that I don't violate any attorney-client privileges. But I don't know why he would be sending somebody to the Warrior Healing Center for tax advice. Not sure.
I'm sorry, this using the microphone is going to help for when it's shared online, that it goes to the camera as well. So please talk into the microphone if you can.
And like I said, I sit at the front desk, and I've had quite a few clients come over from the office, but I was also in line at the county assessor's office because I got a letter that said error, and I wanted to know what it was about. And she says, "Oh, that's fine. You just need to go home and get your state taxes and bring it back to us." And there was a gentleman that was there, and she actually told him to go over to the Warrior Healing Center. I was there when that happened.
Well, I'm going to ask for questions. I'm not sure why that would happen. And again, he doesn't work for me. I don't work for him. But what I will say is, I know a lot of people in this room have particular questions about their particular situation. And I really am not in a position that, like, from the floor, I can't give you an answer for your particular tax situation. But what I was talking to Rob about, because Rob and I sit on the executive board of the Cochise County Bar Association, is that we would like to work with the Warrior Healing Center and have the Cochise County Bar Association get some volunteer lawyers. We'll set up a clinic, and we can have veterans come in and talk to our local lawyers.
I'm reading from the error message that was sent out to everyone via mail saying that we didn't qualify. The one thing that it doesn't say on here is that if you believe you will still qualify under these income limitations, please submit a copy of your 2025 state income tax return. If it is determined that you qualify, the exemption will be processed for the 2026 tax bill, but it doesn't give you a limit. It doesn't say, say in 2 months somebody realizes that, that because they're elderly, they don't do Facebook or any other thing else.
Right. It doesn't tell you the deadline.
Yeah, it doesn't tell you the deadline. And in the one that says you don't qualify it doesn't give you a deadline either. It doesn't even say reapply.
I know, and I don't know if you all watched the news broadcast from Alexis Romanjulu. Did you see that, where she interviewed the folks at the park, and then she tried to interview the assessor and he declined, and then she said, and she interviewed me and Rob. She cut it. Well, she interviewed me because she saw everything on Facebook, and then she put her camera down and she said, "You're not the story, the assessor is." I'm like, yeah, go talk to him. But he declined the interview. But she called his office and asked about that, and I believe that was when she was told that the deadline passed. It was March 1st. So, but in any event, I will tell you, well, Rob just pointed out, I got this from the Maricopa County Assessor's website last night after Tim brought this issue to me. They are permitting extensions until September 1st with an approved exemption deadline waiver. So if you want to explore that, I would encourage you to reach out to the assessor. And my understanding, just from looking at the law, is that that would, the Board of Supervisors would need to approve that. Frank Antonori is a veteran on the Board of Supervisors. I'm not sure how they would take it, but, I think that they really respond to veterans when you speak up. So I want to tell you the good news and kind of how we got here. Like I said, this whole thing blew up. The assessor puts in the letter that you're canceled because of the county attorney's office opinion. So, I'm just getting crushed for it. And I reached out to some of my connections, and I got a call that Sunday from Senator David Gowan. And this is in June. And he said, Lori, we're working on this. We're working on a fix for this in the budget this week. Like, hold on, and I will keep you posted. And then an email blast went out to all the electeds and precinct committeemen, and Gail Griffin replied all, and that's our state rep, Gail Griffin. And she replied all, this will be fixed this week. We're working on it. Okay. So I really do think that they responded to the call. They saw how outraged everybody was on Facebook and with the calls and with the texts and with the emails. And they actually responded and passed, as part of the budget last month, SB 1365. Starting next year, 2027, for 100% disabled veterans, there's no income limits. Starting next year. And then, again, this started as a Senate bill, but then it went to the House, and that's where it got jammed up last time. But the House in HB 4168 agreed to remove the income limits, and the governor signed it into law on June 13th. And this has been verified. I've been at, 2 other events with Senator Gowan and Representative Griffin since then. And, well, you guys were there. You ladies were there. They touted this at a luncheon we were at on Tuesday, that this is the real deal and that this passed. So I would say that, as Rob pointed out, even the new bill, if you're not 100% disabled, your tax relief is still not going to be great. So I will just say, your work is not done. If you want more tax relief for the 90%, 80%, 70%, I would encourage you to keep at it, to keep lobbying your legislators, and to make your voice known, organize with your veterans groups, and do what you can. Sir.
So the question is it the same process that we went through this last time without the negative response? So come January 1st, we can go ahead and go to the assessor's office, submit for the exemption, like everybody here probably already did previously?
Yeah.
Is that the same process?
That process would, the same, what we did this last time would be
Correct.
the exact same. In theory, assuming, and I'm sure that we will make sure as much as humanly possible that we have all the proper legal understanding for the folks involved, is that you wouldn't have to, if you're 100% disabled vet, provide any income verification. So that's exactly how we did it this time. So in theory, that's how it should be done. But I will say that that's not our process. That's the county assessor's process.
Okay.
And also, it's my understanding that we'd have to do it every year. Like, we wouldn't be 100% disabled anymore.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure with that.
I was told that if we didn't reapply every year, our taxes would come.
Yes, I think that you are correct, because somebody brought up to me the fact that in other counties, the assessor does not make them reapply every year, but our assessor has, I believe, made a policy decision that you need to apply every year.
Can they amend it in the law that says once you're 100%, you're 100%?
I think that that's in the assessor implementation of it. So again, You know, just like your legislatures are elected, your assessor's elected. Lobby your assessor. Okay, so, and I just wanted to show you, this is the actual text of the fix, if you will, whereas it used to say from the February bill, it used to say for an exemption under this section, the total income from all sources, etc. But now it's limited to for the exception prescribed in subsection E. So income limits still apply, but not to service-connected disabilities, only to like non-veteran disabilities. So there are income limits for some things, for some exemptions, but not the veterans, 100% disabled. Okay, so again, the takeaway, the county attorney read the February 2026 law, but did not draft it, interpret it, or implement it, didn't send out the letters. And then the good news, beginning in 2027, 100% disabled veterans are no longer subject to income limits. I had a really great conversation with Tim and Joe and Kathy last night about what this will really mean as far as loss of revenue in Cochise County. I contacted Sharon Gilman, our county administrator, last night to see if she's come up with an estimate for lost revenue, and she says that they haven't. I will tell you that one thing we're working on in the legislature next year, to the extent that we're working on it, I'm on the executive board of the Arizona Association of Counties, which is the county's lobbying group. And I sit on the AC2A and ACASA, which is the Arizona County Attorney and Sheriff's Association subcommittee or subgroup, and the Arizona Association of County Attorneys subgroup. We are trying to get the legislature to pass the bill to make the state refund us, pitch in to cover the lost revenue. But, you know, hopefully we will do that because it may be significant, but it may not be. And that's what Tim's going to talk to you about.
Thank you. Who here wants to run for county assessor? All right, Bev, it's on you. Let's go. Thank you. All right, so this is America, right? There's precedent for this, and this is really great to see this process in action. And I want to congratulate Lori and the county team here for being here today and standing here face to face and telling us the truth, and all of you supporting the issues that are near and dear to our heart. The truth is that this lost revenue thing kind of becomes a boogeyman, a myth, but other states have done this, and there are examples out there, and we've done the research on what works and what doesn't, and why things work the way that they do. Both Texas and Florida have laws that give property tax exemption to disabled veterans, 100% for 100%. And the makeup of those counties is different depending on the state. If you think about Florida, it is a fairly even distribution from where the veterans are and the big cities are, because everyone goes there for a certain retirement lifestyle, and the bases are located in densely populated cities. So when they exempt the 100% disabled veterans from property tax, they don't really feel that income loss, because you're talking about Tampa, right? That is a very small distribution. When you talk about Killing, Texas, on the other hand, very different demographic. There's the military base and then a whole bunch of retirees and not much else. And you're far away from the big city in Austin, right? So they had to necessarily legislate that reimbursement for those communities that don't have a lot else going on. And so we've documented all that. We've provided it to the county, explaining that here's the difference in the model. Here's what Texas does. And they, for communities that are like us, that are made up of more than 1% of that revenue being veterans, the state then reimburses the lost revenue for that tax exemption, because the state is mandating, you know, you can do this for these people, and therefore the state is giving that back. Why? Well, what Texas learned is what we see here. the total amount of revenue that we get from disabled veterans on property tax is somewhere between $1,700 and $2,000 a year. But the revenue that disabled veteran families bring into the community is substantial. So when we do the math and we show the disability benefits that come in from the federal government, the educational benefits that go to dependents and spouses, and the healthcare benefits that it creates, it more than offsets that lost revenue. So it benefits the state to do this, it benefits the county to do this, it benefits our veteran families in a rural setting like what we have here. So our work is not done. We have to continue to work with our legislators to get this. But the good news is they're doing it in other places. We've captured that. We have the documentation, and we can show that creating a community that takes care of its veterans draws in more veterans. And that creates better communities, better families, better schools, better social services across the board. And that is just known from the other experiences that these states have. And that's what we want to achieve here. And that's how we address the loss of revenue from the property tax exemption. Any questions? Yes, sir.
What's the name of the current county tax assessor, and is he up for re-election?
What's that?
What's the name of the current county tax assessor? Who's our assessor?
Who is our assessor? Philip Meindecker.
Is he up for re-election this year?
I do not know. Is he up for re-election? No? I feel some momentum coming. All right. Any other questions? Good. Lori, back over to you. Thank you.
So why don't we stop here, and I will take questions on the property tax exemption issue. We called this a community update. I didn't want it to be like the sole focus is on this issue. You know, in a lot of ways, it is the assessor's issue, but I'm just here to help as much as I can. The rest of the presentation is more of highlights from the county attorney's office and the Veterans Diversion Program. I would love it if you would stick around, but to the extent if you're really just here to talk about the property taxes, let's take the questions on that now, and then I'll move forward with the rest of the presentation.
So is there a process that someone could look up for hardship requests for waiver for the current year right now? For individuals who did have their mortgage offset and utilize that, say, for medical bills or just to catch up because things are costing more. Do we know, is there a place that people can go that we can point them to?
I would say, I don't know of any hardship exemption. I would say this. In Maricopa County, according to their webpage, they have an extension. Under the law, an extension is available if the Board of Supervisors approves it. So you might want to go to the assessor's office and ask if they're going to permit an extension or waivers and what they can do about it.
So the process is requesting the waiver option.
Yes, and yes, request it through the assessor's office, and I think they would have to get an approval to do an extension through the board.
Yeah, so just so you know, there are, as with everything, and this is why you have all these great lawyers up here, is there's always a law that is directing what an assessor can do. So I will give you the heads up that as that is the case, there's also things that limit what the waiver, how you do a waiver. I don't have it in front of me. I thought there were some time limits even on the Board of Supervisors approving it. And there's also what that actually does for you may not be what you think it does for you. So I'm just telling you that there are statutes that even the assessor has to follow when as it applies to that. And that's what would be things that would bind his hands.
Yes, ma'am. Wait, let's get the microphone.
if you, the story is, it really is a nightmare to adjust your escrow back, because you now need to go back to the assessor and you need to get the new tax estimates. You need to send that back because your escrow folks generally got rid of them. And so what I did is just started paying more in my escrow and just like hope it all works out in the end. Again, so I'm fortunate. Other people, it's going to hit them a lot harder, because it's just something that could have major impacts on the community.
Are we going to get a notification of any kind so we know when to sign up again?
I mean, I think Lori's kind of beat this to death. I definitely think you need to reach out to the assessor and have a conversation and encourage it. I mean, in the capacity that what we could do. I mean, we're part of the community and have that conversation. I don't think you got a notification this time when it actually happened either. So, and I think from the budget perspective, if we don't let them know, if we don't let you know that you have this, then you don't use it, then we have extra money. So, I guess right now, just to let you know, right now the legislation has passed it, and January 1st, 2027 is when it applies. So look for that.
But
I did just go down when I heard that they passed something else to the assessor's office here in town and got this piece of paper of the requirements, and they're still just like they were before, and a veteran has no more benefit than any 100% disabled person. So I don't know why they call it a veteran's benefit when it isn't.
You mean for next year?
I just picked up the paper just a couple of days ago, so they don't have anything telling us that something is coming.
Do you want to share that with me?
That's what she's talking about. Property tax.
Is it
26 and
Yeah, no, it's 2020.
Yeah, this is for the 2026 tax year that has the income limits, and the income limits in here are the newer ones with the adjusted that we talked about. So this is for, it says right here, for filing period 2026, January 2nd to March 1st. So this is for this year.
They don't have anything new.
Oh, well, maybe they just haven't updated their literature.
That's why I'd like to have it. We have to keep going back and back until we get something, or?
I think that you apply for it. It looks like between January in January and February.
So it would be that way
So
next
I would
year?
go back next January and I would apply for it. Yes. Ma'am? Oh. Okay, over to you. May I? Roxanne.
Yeah. So I just have a question. The amount that's due, through, the people who didn't pay their escrow, how is that money paid back? Do they want all one lump, or can you make payments on that?
I mean, this is basically just how escrows always are dealt with. If you have a shortcoming, then next year your property bill is going to be more. Right? So that's universally how they deal with escrow short. They do a reassessment, and that's how that would be handled.
I don't know what other experiences you guys have had in filing for this. I recently got my letter, so I attempted to contact the assessor's office. They told me, sure, bring your paperwork on down. I called back, and then they said, oh, it's closed. You can't apply until after January 1st, which I'm sure everybody else has heard. I would encourage you all to make an appointment, because she said that's the only way after the 1st. If you want to get in there and get your paperwork taken care of, make an appointment, because she said walk-ins are going to be hellacious after the 1st. So I would make an appointment just to save you some trouble.
Any more questions? Mark?
Mark? You're next.
Hey, I don't have a question, just a comment. Thank you, Tim, for bringing that up, because that's a lot of people in our community have been talking about that when it comes to, these are great benefits. I'm 100% disabled. I love it, but it has to come from somewhere. And if that's the key part there is how do we get that money back? So that's the next step of this, is pushing our legislators to get that. Look at Texas. Colleen, that's a great example. I was going to bring that up too. What I don't want to happen in our community is what's happening there is the community looking at the veterans and saying, because of you guys getting a break, we're paying more, because that's what they have to do. And we have a great community, and I don't want anybody to look at us as veterans as we're the issue that they're paying more. But unfortunately, the money has to come from somewhere. So I encourage everybody to pull up your parcel inquiry on your property and see what you pay for, right? Just so you know, like I pulled up mine. 34% of mine goes to Cochise County, 31 goes to Cochise College, 13 to the school district, and 11 to the high school. The city of Sierra Vista gets 1.3, and the other ones are pretty small, other ones there. But pull up your own fund for your house and see what you're currently contributing to and what will be going away, just so you know, have a thought in your mind. I had some other veterans that talked to me recently that said they're just going to make a donation to the school district aside from what they would normally be putting in, and that's how they're going to handle it from their household. So just something to think about. Look it up, see what you're actually paying, and remember, it has to come from somewhere.
Hi, I was just going to ask, does the assessor plan on communicating to the vets in the county? You said that he declined comment, but I was wondering if there was an opportunity for him to reach out to the community instead of all of these vets one by one trying to make an appointment, getting pushed off and not getting the answers that they need, because I think that there should be some kind of accountability, and like you said, if there's going to be extensions or penalties, maybe that could be addressed all at once.
Yeah, and you know, I just saw it on the news that he declined the comment. That would have to be up to him. You know, I speak at Rotary meetings all the time. I speak at luncheons all the time. I proactively make the ladies at the lunch, hey, can I please have 5 minutes to talk about this? And you know, if you have questions, maybe invite the assessor. So if you're a member of a group, you know, I went to the American Legion in Bisbee with Rob last Sunday. I'm speaking at the VFW next week. If you are a member of an organization, I would encourage you to reach out to the assessor to ask him to come speak. If I haven't spoken to your group yet, I'm happy to come to your group to come speak, but that would have to be like, he's his own elected office. So that would be his decision.
I do want to say, I know Lori, and I've watched you a lot, so I do appreciate that you are not afraid to tackle hard issues, and you come out and you meet and greet everybody, and you're just honest about what's going on. So I appreciate that. As far as the assessor, like you said, and you weren't sure, I think, that who could make the decisions to make the extensions, whether he had the capability of being able to do that, authority, or versus it has to go to the county supervisors. Could the county supervisors have him in attendance? I just feel like everybody needs to be together.
I think it's so obviously authorities are given to certain elected officials. He is the authority as it relates to this, and it's my understanding that he would have to make the request, and that the county, the board of supervisors, he would have to make the request as that authority, and the board of supervisors would have to approve that. So that's my understanding. And if I don't have the statutes in front of me, I thought there were some time limit constraints on it. So I want to say that because I want to make sure you understand that the time for that may have passed. I don't know.
And let me just ask, is there anyone here who would be interested in doing this same type of event with the county assessor or board of supervisors? I can't hear you. What? Maybe? Yes? Oh, yes. Okay, good. Because we will, if that interests you guys, we'll work together with the elected representatives and their offices and docs, because we're very interested in doing what Lori described and having these events when there are issues important to veterans. We're happy to put that together. So we'll be communicating with you guys on Facebook on what we can put together going forward. All right?
Okay. Are there any more questions? Okay, well, I'm going to continue with my presentation. I would hope that you want to stick around, but if you just came for the tax issue and you take off, you won't hurt my feelings. Maybe we should take 5 minutes. And I'll be available if you want to speak to me.
All right, we'll take 5. And once again, we just want to say thank you to Docs. Everyone give them a hand for the food. And thank you especially once again to Lori, Zucco, and your team and all your folks there at the county for doing this. This is excellent to see, and we really appreciate you taking the time and making the effort. It means a lot. I'd like to say thank you to Marcus, who's here doing the media capture for us so we can get more eyeballs on this presentation and spread the word about what's going on. And I'd like to thank Mark for being here as well. Mark, thanks for being here and taking such an interest in these issues. Really appreciate that. All right, so let's take 5. It's now 1300. At 1305, we'll reconvene and cover the other topics on the agenda. Thank you. All right, so we will continue our talk now, where Lori Zucco will continue to present issues that the county attorney's office and the initiatives that they're working on that are relevant to our veteran community. Lori?
All right, thank you. Okay, moving right along. I want to talk to you about the border crimes. Everybody who lived in Cochise County for the past several years knows that we were really dealing with an unprecedented border crime crisis from January 2021 essentially to January 2025. Our office, the Cochise County Attorney's Office, aggressively prosecuted these border crime cases. Many of the prosecutors here in this room helped me with that. We had a historic collaboration with law enforcement during that time, spearheaded by Sheriff Mark Daniels with Operation Safe Streets. But it was also Sierra Vista Police Department, HSI, Border Patrol, Bisbee PD, Tombstone Marshal's Office. Everybody came together when we were working on this issue. We got part of the DEMA grant that the Sheriff's Office received. We had $680,000 given to our office to assist in prosecution. We tried to hire a prosecutor, but we couldn't find somebody to come down for the pay. It's very difficult to recruit lawyers to Cochise County. And what we ended up doing was taking some of that money and breaking it up and spreading it out over 10 prosecutors who each agreed to track their time, essentially like overtime, and get a bump in their pay. Ruth did that. She worked on border crime cases. Dina still gets that. Juvenile prosecutors, misdemeanor prosecutors. So we still have some of that money left that they gave us an extension to use it up. It also pays for our body worn camera software, but it's gonna expire this year. We also had 2 additional support staff, but we had to phase them out. This issue came up if you paid attention to the budget, because a lot of the jail employees were paid out of DEMA money, and now the county just had to absorb that in the general fund, which was a real hit on our budget. So when I say a border crime case, what I mean is a failure to yield or assisting at human smuggling, which was the new 132323 that was passed in September 2022. We were one of the only counties that prosecuted under that case. We felt it was appropriate, and none of those convictions have been overturned. So this is the statistics that we put up. We started tracking these stats because of that DEMA grant. So when you have a grant, you have to keep statistics. Anybody who's worked with a grant knows that. So in 2022, we prosecuted 275 border crime cases. In 2023, we peaked at 406. In 2024, it was 227. It went down a little bit because they had some changes in the asylum laws. So who wants to guess how many border crime cases have been filed by the county attorney's office between January 2025 through June 2026? 42 in 2025 and 16 so far in 2026. This chart is astounding to me. It's absolutely astounding. I showed this chart to Juan Siscomani, our U.S. House of Rep in a meeting, and his people came over to me and they're like, "Can we get that chart from you?" I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely," because this is amazing. But also, the real issue we had during this time was the fatalities, the rollover crashes from the load cases, right? And we had 13 border crime fatalities during that time. We aggressively prosecuted them as first-degree felony murder for fleeing the scene. I personally prosecuted Felix Mendez, the 16-year-old boy who killed Wanda Satoski at Mustang Corners on her 65th birthday. He pled the morning of trial to the charge. He got life imprisonment, possibility of parole at 25 because he was a juvenile at the time of the offense, so he wasn't eligible for natural life. The very first fatality we had, January 2021, was William Brown. He was sentenced to 2 natural life sentences for killing two UDAs, in the traffic circle in Bisbee. Last year, we tried Eric DeLees. He killed 3 UDAs on I-10, and he got life with the possibility of parole. Jessica was actually the trial paralegal on that. Yay, Jess. Okay, so how many border crime fatalities have we had in Cochise County since January 2025? Anybody want to guess?
3.
0. Yeah, that's amazing, right? Now, next, I'm going to turn it over to these ladies. We have a very vigorous alternative prosecution program. Kristana Watkins, come on, Kristana. She applied for a rural alternative prosecution grant several years ago and was awarded $500,000. So she was our GRACE coordinator, which is our mental health coordinator, but she has grown this program. We have we revamped our misdemeanor unit and turned it into the GRACE Center for Alternative Prosecutions at the Cochise County Attorney's Office. It's beautiful. Facilities did it. Our prosecutor assigned to diversion, Trisha Driggs, pictured in the center here, just won the statewide Arizona Prosecuting Attorney Advisory Committee Diversion Prosecutor of the Year award. We are getting some of the opioid money that the county got from the opioid litigation, and it's going to fund part of Monica McCall, our drug diversion coordinator's salary, and we're hoping to hire a licensed professional counselor for folks who go in diversion but don't have health insurance to pay for their counseling. They can get the counseling right at our GRACE Center. And we're also hoping to hire a surveillance officer to help with the drug diversion. In particular, Monica used to be a adult probation, IPS. An IPS officer, which is intensive probation services. The inmates call it in prison soon. But let me turn it over to Kristana to talk about some of the revenue that she's generated. These numbers are also amazing.
Thanks. Good afternoon. Thank you, everybody, for coming here and for having us. We're really excited to share our program. First, I want to start with this program, GRACE, which was initially to address the issues of people who had mental health issues, but they were in the criminal justice system, started back in 2019. That's the position that I took. And over the time from its inception until now, we've saved the county about $5 million by connecting people with mental health issues to services, not using taxpayer dollars in the sense of being in the jail. So we're really proud of that because saving $5 million in taxes for our county is important. Moving on, in 2022, I assumed a different role. I became the person who ran all of the diversion programs, and that was really exciting. When I assumed the program in 2022, our revenue was about $6,000, almost $7,000. And now, as we move forward, last year we finished with $235,000 revenue, and right now we're sitting at about $94,000. But all the money that we make actually is going towards funding our own program. So we're self-sufficient, meaning that it costs you as the taxpayers less. Traditionally, we had people who were veterans, and when they had issues, we would put them in one of our traditional programs, but Lori really cares about this community. And so we worked together and we came up with a veterans track. And so we have that now that it was just recently implemented. And I think that Monica would be the best person to explain that. So I'll have her come up and talk a little bit.
Let me forward through some of these slides. This is the new training center at the Grace, the training room at the Grace Center. And we've already done a training for the defense there. That's Michael Powell putting on a training for the defense bar. And this is, we'll talk about VAPP. We call it VAPP, Veterans Alternative Prosecution Program. And we started it last year. Monica and Kristana are both married to veterans, and they really believe in veterans issues. So I did go to the legislature this year and meet with Senator Gowan, and we worked on a bill for Veterans Diversion Program to make it formalized in the legislature. He tried to get funding attached to it, but they stripped it. But you know, baby steps, as we saw with the property tax, we're gonna hope to make a push again to get more funding for diversion now that we have the legislature recognizing this Veterans Diversion Program. That was SB 1275 that he got passed. I came up there and worked with him on it. It was really fun. So let me turn it over to Monica now, who is heading our VAPP.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for staying here and for listening to all this information. Ms. Watkins and Ms. Zucco are the persons that hire me to do this type of work. Okay, so my title is Diversion Coordinator. My supervisor is Ms. Watkins. We work together with this new program for veterans. In our diversion program, which is a program that is alternative to prosecution, we have multiple categories of cases. We deal with criminal cases. So when we have a veteran that is encountering problems with the law, we Ms. Zucco talked about creating a program that can assist in resolving that case without prosecution, without a conviction, to have this person get the help that they need by completing counseling or getting the assistance that they need for their health benefits, right? And so with this program, when the person completes those requirements, then we ask the county attorney's office to dismiss that case. Okay, and moving forward, it's a very fairly new program. So moving forward, we are not going to be charging the veterans any money for this program. Okay, because we want to make sure that we give back to you for your service, for everything you've done for us and for this country, of course. So let's talk about a little bit about the requirements and how we do all this. Ms. Watkins and I work together with this, okay? The Sierra Vista office, the Sierra Vista courthouse gets cases in, lower cases and felony cases, okay? Those cases get recommended to us. We go and meet with that person. I meet with them initially and do an interview with them, okay, to find out who they are. This is when I learned that they are veterans, okay? So once I know that they are veterans, I set up a second appointment and we do a second interview with them. And this is when Ms. Watkins comes into place and we both interview this person and get a little bit more information privately about their background and where we are and what needs they have. Okay. We ask for misdemeanor cases. We ask for them to do a minimum requirement of 20 hours of counseling. Okay, we want them to get that help. We want them to go back, and if they're avoiding seeing a therapist, we want them to go and get that help. They do, and we say minimum of 20 hours because it all depends on that veteran, on that person, right? Everybody has different needs. And so then once they go and get that help, they complete those hours. We do ask for a community service. We ask them to come and meet with the Warrior Healing Center because the Warrior Healing Center has some programs that are so beneficial for our clients. And so we want them to get the help. This program is a voluntary program. So our clients that we meet with, they don't have to participate, but we encourage them to participate because there is no loss for them. It's just only gaining the help that they need. Okay, so once they complete those requirements, then we do ask for the case to be dismissed. Sometimes the program can be 5 months, sometimes it can go up to a year, depending on the need of that person. Okay, so
Thank you, Monica. And as soon as we had this idea, we did immediately want to partner with the Warrior Healing Center on this. We are just getting off the ground on it. We had somebody relapse. It was pretty upsetting, I know, to Monica. But like I said, it's a new program. We haven't even we had one person graduate, but we didn't do a ceremony. Hopefully, we're going to have some graduates come up in the next few months, and we will advertise that and put it out there because they will have really earned it. So some additional highlights from the county attorney's office. I think we have a few minutes left. There's Jonathan. He's our new chief civil deputy. Jonathan comes from Pima County Attorney's Office, where he was there for 13 years. Before that, he was in Federated States of Micronesia for 3 years as legislative counsel. Before that, he was a staff attorney for the Arizona Court of Appeals. He went to U of A Law School. He has a master's, and he's from the UK. So he was very upset about England losing to Argentina yesterday. Okay, quiz. What do the new chief civil deputy and county attorney Lori Zucco have in common? Oh. Yes. I was in Palau and he was in Federated States of Micronesia. I don't know if you can see on that map, but Palau is over by the Philippines and Guam, and then Micronesia is like that whole long island chain that goes almost all the way to Hawaii. A very interesting place to live and work. I think we both enjoyed it very much. One of the big cases that we have going on is a 1984 cold case called the Hairport homicide. And in that case, some new DNA came to light, and we were able to charge a man named Mr. Hammond with that. And all of the investigators came to our office, and they're the ones that were still alive. They're in their 80s and their 90s. So the trial is set in 2027 in May. But what we did last November was we had a preliminary hearing where we had them all testify, and we locked in their testimony. So that was very good. And after the preliminary hearing, Mr. Hammond was indicted on premeditated first-degree murder. Yeah. Another thing that I did when I became county attorney was, this impacted Jess, I was able to get all of our felony criminal legal secretaries reclassed to paralegals. It used to be that a legal secretary would type a motion and, make copies and copy the disclosure. In our office, they used to bait stamp it with a handwriting pen in the bottom right-hand corner. Well, now everything is digital. Every piece of evidence that you put on in a trial is digital. Every officer has a body-worn camera. It needs to be redacted. It needs to be, we need to edit it. You can't even put evidence into a court proceeding now without going through the court administration's portal. So, and all the evidence that's displayed to the witness on a screen and up to the jury once it's published, somebody has to do all that while the attorney's asking the questions. And that's the criminal paralegal that's now sits at the table during a trial like Jess did in that murder case. And so it really is a whole different job. We got the reclass and we got these good paying jobs for these local ladies. It only requires a high school diploma, although many of them have some college or a paralegal certificate, but that was a really big deal for local ladies to be able to get that recognition of the more skills that they have developed. We've also gone out of our way to promote public relations, social media, community outreach. Jess handles that for me. So follow us on Facebook and Instagram if you're not following us already. These are some of our posts from National Adoption Day, National Night Out. We've done 3 of those in Douglas, Sierra Vista, Huachuca City. We do these justice and care collectives with the health department, where we quash non-felony warrants while they're also getting connected to services, getting some routine testing done. They have like mobile units that come set up and provide them health services. We set up with Judge Karwachka, Judge Poppy, Judge Kerfman. We quash warrants, get them new court dates. Mostly it's like outreach to the mentally ill and homeless population. So we've done those in Bisbee, Sierra Vista, and Douglas, and the next one is in the fall in Benson. And if you follow us on Facebook, you'll see these case updates that Jess does. So if you hear something in the news and you're wondering, hey, whatever happened about that? Well, if you follow us on Facebook, all the like prominent indictments, we post the indictment. And then once the sentence, we post the sentencing. We try not to post in between because we don't want to influence the judge or the jury. And then I just wanted to circle back. We also do posting on veterans issues. We did a Veterans Day post where we recognized the attorneys who were veterans in our office. There, it's Dan Akers and Dina Champagne and Michael Powell. Rob wasn't with us last year, but he would have been on that. And then Doyle Johnston, our former chief criminal deputy, was in the JAG with our former county attorney, Ed Reinheimer. And I wanted to end it on a personal note. So these are my grandparents. On the left is my mom's parents. My grandfather was a very decorated officer in World War II and like a hometown hero in my neighborhood in Pittsburgh. When a couple years ago, my neighborhood Facebook page, Brookline Connection, posted this story about him, and I didn't even know a lot of it. This is Richard A. Bauer, known as the One-Man Army, and his wife, Mary. In 1948, Richard was a highly decorated officer in the 70th Tank Battalion during World War II, and afterwards opened the Brookline War Veterans Club at 968 Brookline Boulevard. The club was open to teenagers as a place to recreate, play pool, or stage events 3 nights a week. War veterans had the club the other 4 nights. So that was so cool that I just came across that on Facebook. And I was like, that's my grandparents. But and on the right, that's my dad's parents. My Pap Tony was a merchant marine, so he didn't really see too much in World War II in the way of combat. And I like that picture because everybody says I look like my Nana Ruth. I'm not a real blonde. All right. So again, thank you all for your service. Thank you to the Warrior Healing Center. Thank you to Docs. Thank you to my team who all showed up. And, if you want me to do a presentation or just come speak to any groups that you belong to, just reach out to me.
Thank you so much once again, Lori. We really appreciate it, especially that rare look into your family history of military service. We'll have to enlist you in other ways. So, and thank you everyone for coming. Thank you for staying. Is there any other questions before we go? Okay, good. To close out then, I'll just turn it over to Kathy.
So those of you who are normally at the Warrior Healing Center on the 3rd Thursday at 12, was this an improvement or what do you think? Should we do this again? Yeah. For those of you who are not familiar, Warrior Healing Center is all volunteer, and we are just across the back alleyway and back parking lot over here, and we are helping so many veteran families in this community. We always need volunteers for a lot of different opportunities, though. So if you guys are interested at all, you can find us online. You can fill out a volunteer application. You can find people that might be a good fit for us. Please send them our way. We're always looking for people. We probably have between 80 and 100 active volunteers at any given time, and that kind of ebbs and flows just because it's an all volunteer thing. And then every Thursday at noon over at the center, we've got some sort of a meeting for volunteers. So the 3rd Thursday is our all volunteer meeting. If you guys want to come check that out, you're more than welcome to just pop in and get to know some of the volunteers and hear what's going on. The first Thursday of the month is a new volunteer orientation. So if you're brand new and just need to learn about the organization, that's a good one to come to. And then we have a little bit more specific options on the 2nd and the 4th Thursdays of the month. But just want to let you guys know, we are here. We are doing everything we can with all volunteers, making an impact and trying to build community. And again, a huge thank you to Lori and her office for coming and joining us because this was really amazing. Thank you.
Okay, Aaron, you can turn the music back on. It's back over to you. Let's give Aaron and Tori and the whole Docs crew another round of applause. We really appreciate you hosting them.